Okay, welcome folks to our new venue. It's lovely, isn't it? So today what I would like to talk about is, first of all, I would like to talk about the evolution of A Course in Miracles, and then which will run into the evolution of spirituality. So for the first 50 years of the Course, basically everybody's been doing the words of the Course. They've been doing it here in level 1. People have been doing the Course. They're all caught up in the story of the Course. And the story of the Course is the separation, really, about the ego. And then there's all the drama that's in the Course, and that's where we, as the perceivers who are doing the Course, where we project all our own, basically, internal emotions onto the story of the Course, where we actually believe it. And then we're trying to comprehend and understand this story of how could we ever do this? You know, how could we do that to God? How could we leave God and come here? You know, and these are all questions that every person starting out in the Course, you know, has in their mind when they start learning all of this. But there's a thing you have to remember in the Course is this, and Jesus is very gentle and he's instructive and he knows exactly how you're going to fall into the traps that you're going to fall into, and he tells you beforehand, but everybody doesn't see that part, they still fall into them. You see, at the beginning of the workbook, Jesus very clearly says there's a lot of these ideas you will not understand. Why is that? Anybody? Why is there a lot of ideas in the Course that people just simply don't understand?
Because we're not at that level.
And not at that level. Exactly. You see, now when you bring the levels into it, you can understand why these ideas are strange. Okay? And this is the metaphysics of the Course. Once you get into the metaphysics of the Course, the metaphysics will point you to the truth. Because right at the beginning of the Course, Jesus says, okay, words are symbols of symbols twice removed from reality. Okay, so if you want to taste reality, then you have to get to level 3. It's that simple. Okay? So the only way you're going to get to level 3 is you're going to have to go through level 2, which is the metaphysics. Does anybody know what metaphysics is? Anybody? Give a stab at the dark.
The study of this, the tiny particles, or the...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's many interpretations of what metaphysics is, but ultimately, metaphysics is thoughts. It's that simple. Okay? Where we're at, what we're doing in spirituality with the Course, it's thoughts. You know, for scientists and everything, they'll be into quantum, you know, physics and all of this kind of stuff, and that's okay. You know, to them that's metaphysics. You know, because the physical of them is basically the energies that are in this world. The metaphysical to them would be the atoms and the protons and all of that kind of stuff. But for us in A Course in Miracles, the metaphysics are simply thoughts. Okay? Now, every thought that you can think of, what has happened to it? That has become manifest, hasn't it? All thoughts will become manifest. Every thought that you can think of. You can think of something, you know, in this world, you might have a great idea and you go and you Google it, or you think nobody else has thought on it, you go and you Google, of course they have thought on it. You know, so everything in this world is a manifestation of a thought. Yeah? So, let me show you the metaphysics of the 2 levels of level 1 and level 2, for example, right? And you see, it doesn't matter what spirituality you're doing, okay? Every spirituality in itself has a philosophy, hasn't it? And inside that philosophy there are a number of concepts, symbols and designs within it, yeah? But every one of those will fit into this symbol here of levels 1, 2, 3, okay? Well, not so much 3, because 3 is kind of where you go beyond thought, beyond form. So it's these 2 levels here I'm showing you now as the metaphysics of level 1 and level 2. So what's the most obvious thing standing out there with these 2 levels?
You have two,
Source.
the split.
Source. What's the source? Because all thoughts, like Jesus says very clearly in the Course, all right, ideas leave not their source. So, here's the thing. Jamie, I think you were asking earlier on about thoughts, and then you just stop thinking about them, okay, which is denial, yeah? So, to me, I would do the opposite. To me, everything is information. If you can track it back to the source, okay, you'll have a good understanding where you are. If you deny the thoughts, where are you going to be? Do you know where you are? For example, do you know for a fact when you're on level 2? Do you know for a fact when you're on level 3? Do you know for a fact when you're on level 1? Can anybody answer that? How would you know for a fact, metaphysically, where you are? Sorry?
You've experienced a lot of pain.
You just, the first thing I do, Paul, is I listen to my thoughts. Do you know what's
the emotions as well?
Yes,
Emotions are very
exactly.
important because where you are emotionally will tell you where you are in your mind.
Exactly, because
That's where you make
emotions,
the choice.
yeah, emotions
You can't
are
make it
the
otherwise.
physical manifestation of your thoughts. That's all emotions are. Okay, so you can track everything back to the source, and the source here on level 1 means this. When you're connected to this mind, you have no choice. Everything you will perceive will reinforce separation for you. You'll see separation, you will feel separation, you will know separation, you will experience separation. These are facts, because the source of this mind is separation. So let's just stay with the facts. I'm not interested in stories anymore. Okay, just the facts. Because it's in the metaphysics that you have the facts. Yeah? Okay, so we're on level 1. We're attached to a mind that's going to perceive, reinforce, and project separation. What's the first thing that tells you, that piece of information? What comes after that?
The idea.
No. We'll get there. Fact. Guilt. Now this guilt has got nothing to do with God. It's got nothing to do with you. Alright? Okay? It belongs to this mind because this mind is set up for separation. So, in A Course in Miracles, when you read sin, this is what he's talking about. The mind of separation. It's not any particular sin that you did with God. Okay? Sin is a synonym for separation. And the moment that you perceive separation, experience it in any way, okay, you're going to experience guilt. Fact. And if you're going to experience guilt, it's also a fact you're going to experience fear. And that means that's the energy of level 1. So as Sharon was basically saying, beautifully describing in her previous presentation, right, we need an umbrella. You know, because we're being battered. Battered with these thoughts coming out of here all the time. Guilt, sin, pain, fear, anger. Do you know? They're coming down all the time. And we need a bloody good umbrella. But then after a while, our arm gets sore holding that umbrella, protecting ourselves. And we get really tired with this. Because the longer you stay here, the sicker you become, the more guiltier you become, if you don't have a good umbrella. So good umbrella is good coping mechanisms. Okay? And that's the only way you can survive down here. And people come to me, and you know what they're looking for? They're looking for a better umbrella. Alright? To think a better umbrella down here is going to, I'll sort everything out. A better relationship. You know, a better job. A better home. Can you show me how to pray better? You know? All of these things. The other thing you need to know, all of these ideas, alright, and there's millions of them, and the good news is you're not attached to all of them. You're attached to a few, okay, but not all of them. So, let me show you the metaphysics of what happens when you die, when your body dies. Yeah? Alright? A lot of people still are not convinced with level 1, 2, and 3 and what it means. But when the body dies, here you are. Especially if you have used a big persona, you'll have a big shadow and all of that. So, I think, Corey, you were asking earlier on about the question, you know, the personality. And it's the one email that I get more than any other email. Tell me my personality. You know, I'm working with people for a year and I still don't see the personalities. I can see an essence of the personality, but they don't know, I don't know. And it's not until they start to become really honest and truthful and just say, I don't need to wear this face. I don't need to wear this mask today. That doesn't mean you're going to be a grumpy so-and-so. That's what the ego's idea is. Well, if you're not this, you must be this. Okay? Because the ego only has the two rooms. If you're not going to be good, then you're going to be bad. That's the ego's argument in all of this. You know, you have to basically put on a show to get attention. But it's the ego that wants the attention. So, metaphysically, what happens is you leave here, the body's laid aside, you go here to level 2. Okay? So, because level 2 is the spiritual universe also. See if we get that down. Yeah. And you can just see here's the 5 levels as in places. And these places are all in our mind. Okay? But the physical world here, the physical universe seems to be something that, you know, we're so sure of is real. Why? Because we can see it, we can touch it, and all of that. But here's the spiritual universe. This is level 2. So when we leave the body aside here, we're going back to the spiritual universe, whether we like it or not. Okay? So what happens when you basically go back to the spiritual universe? Okay? You go up here, and what is it you take with you? Paul? Did you know that you take stuff with you to heaven?
Whatever you're attached to,
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the more thoughts you have, the more baggage you have, the quicker you return. Okay? So, why does that happen, Cora?
Why does it happen that you bring the thoughts with you?
Yeah.
Because you haven't detached from it.
Exactly. And why do then you come back?
Because you need to detach from them in order to stay up there?
No. That's the great conflict up there. There's many arguments up there. You see, the thoughts have to return.
The thoughts have to return.
Ideas.
So if you're attached to them, you have to.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I say, the more thoughts you're attached to, okay, the quicker the turnover is. You know, think about it in airport terms. You land, you go through customs, and you're back on the plane, down you go. Alright? So, what this is really all about is you don't have to die to get to heaven. And I know the great Steve Jobs, he says that most people, basically, everybody wants to get to heaven, he says, but no one wants to die to get there. So you don't have to die to get to heaven. Because, like Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is all around you, but not in this mind. When you look at the metaphysics of this mind, okay, this source is coming from oneness. So when I do teachings of this with my students, or those who are ready to come up to level 2, but the students in level 1 still can't get their head around it. Because when I talk about, you know, responsibility without blame, what does that look like? You know, it's a different idea. Because down here, responsibility means blame. So, you know, you can see, you know, at the beginning of the workbook, Jesus says very clearly, you'll find some of these ideas very strange indeed. Now, here's the thing about the workbook. All right? When do you think you should do the workbook? Because there are people who get the course and the first thing they do is the workbook. When should the workbook be done? When you get to this point. Why?
half the time you wouldn't know what you're doing, I suppose.
Well, you see, I think you can testify with this. What you're doing, when you're doing the workbook here, you're pulling in these ideas
Right.
that are very strange indeed, to pull them in here. And you ain't going anywhere, but what happens to these ideas? And Ken Wapnick always says, ideas do not leave their source. These ideas could leave you in a matter of seconds. And there's when people are doing the workbook to walk out the door, what are you listening to? You know, no idea. Because that idea doesn't exist on this level. You see? Once you have an understanding of how the two thought systems work metaphysically, A Course in Miracles is dead simple. I mean, so simple. You could wake up any morning, right, and you could be attached to a thought of anger or pain or fear, right? And all of a sudden, within a second, you know the source of this, and let's say now, you just correct it in an instant, and you go about your daily business. You can correct it with any of these: responsibility, acceptance, anything. You know, that's how easy the Course is. But if you get into the stories and the dramas that's in the Course, do you really think that Jesus put a book out here, a special book that he gave to the foundation, and that book had to be protected at all costs? And that's what the foundation set out to do. Ken spent most of his life in courtrooms fighting battles. He didn't need to do any of that. Why?
Because they are doing everything at level 1.
Because it doesn't matter what colour you change the book to. It doesn't matter if you change certain words in the book. Alright? What can you not change in the book? Give you a hint. The metaphysics. Doesn't matter. And you see, most people can't read the metaphysics at the moment. Do you know? So therefore, the book's well protected. Do you really think God and Jesus and everybody else, like, you know, they'll take a chance on a court case being won and lost? Do you know, in the metaphysics? I have sat back for the last 7 years and I've watched teachers of the Course. I've watched other people in the Course. And, I mean, ultimately, and I say this with all the best of love and interest, but I would say to people who are starting out now to teach A Course in Miracles, right? Be very, very careful, because you're going to be made to look like a bloody idiot if you think that you can just lift this book and just start teaching it.
Doesn't work that way.
Do you know, it doesn't work that way. I mean, people think just because it's a self-study book, there's no rules in the book. They're full of facts. It's full of rules. It's full of responsibilities, and it's full of strategies. It's amazing.
Most of all, it's full of truth.
Of course. And
The
that's,
ultimate thing is the truth, and nobody wants
Yeah.
to see the truth in the Course. Because the truth in the Course, from a world's perspective, is ugly.
Yeah.
It is not nice. The Course is not meant to be nice. It's meant to bring you to that place, to look there, to come there, and come there, to go there, to go there, to go all the way.
yeah. I mean, you look at it this way, right? There's 3 levels, okay? I do level 1 with my students, I do level 2 with my students, and I do the teacher's course with the students. Then you look at the course, right? There's the text, there's one book. Okay, so what is the text? There's 31 chapters, 32.
A bit more, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Whatever amount of chapters in the book anyway, but what half of those chapters are all about the 5 levels of Genesis, covering everything. But half the book is about level 1. Half the text, there's 16 chapters in there about the special relationship, and it's all about level 1. Okay? But then when you get all of that completed, and here's the key in all of this, so people think I'm making this up. The teacher of God is someone who's on level 2. Why? Because the teacher of God is the Holy Spirit. Isn't that true? When you are teaching, you're not the teacher. The Holy Spirit's the teacher. Isn't that true?
What comes through you.
Okay. So where's the Holy Spirit? on level 2. Isn't that so? So the Holy Spirit's the teacher, or the ego's the teacher. So when people come to me and want to do the teacher's course, and I would say, why, I want to teach. And I would go, you really do want to teach? What makes you think that? You're not the teacher. You know, there's no thought system that I can pull from that I say, you know, I'm the teacher. I know that. I'm either teaching from level 1 or teaching from level 2. That's it. There is no teaching in level 3. It's just pure experience. So in all of this, you know, you're either coming from this perspective or this perspective. So I don't have to worry about teaching. The only thing I have to make sure of metaphysically is, where's my source coming from? So is my source coming from here? You would all know it pretty soon, because I would be teaching right and wrong, good and bad. I would be teaching out of the persona, which means I would be teaching false forgiveness, which really means forgive them. Alright, but I'll be showing you metaphysically now in a moment. I'm going to start showing you how the metaphysics of the Course works. Okay? And it's all about the metaphysics. It's not about the story. It's not about the drama. It's only about the metaphysics, because it's in the metaphysics that you get to see the truth. Yeah? So, what are the metaphysics? Let me get my trusted... Why, Paul, do you react? Let's look at the metaphysics of why people react. Why do people react the way they do?
To everything, or just people? Or
Let me tell you a story, all right? And this story is about A and B. And I'm going to show you the story about A and B metaphysically. And what happened. So A and B was out for a drink. Okay? And they were having a good time. And then something happened. Okay? B said something. Alright? A reacted and hit B. B fell on the ground and hit his head. And was killed. This is a true story, by the way. Okay? And then B's mother came out publicly and asked for A to be forgiven. Alright? So from the world's perspective, let's be judge and jury from this now. Let's look at this from perspective, right? So from the world's look at it, right? B is the cause. Let's say he said something that wasn't very nice about, say, A's mother. Just, I don't know what was said. Okay? So here we have the cause. And the effect that now was that A reacted and basically B decked it. Okay? No, he didn't basically need to kill the guy. Okay? But you know yourself, when you hit anybody, you're taking the risk. Alright? So anybody want to give? Anybody want to have any input to this?
In what, the forgiveness end of it? Or
What happened? Let's look at it now with the Course in Miracles. Right. Is A guilty?
No.
Or is B guilty?
No.
Why? From the world's perspective I'm talking about here. Look at it from the world's perspective, not from the Course in Miracles. Cora?
From the world's perspective,
Yeah.
both are somewhat guilty, but the A who ended up reacting to B would be seen to be more responsible.
Right. So A is guilty. Alright? So if it went in front of the judge, right, would there be mitigating circumstances?
In France there would be.
All right. Meaning, you know, you would
The
have
crime
to take
of
into
passion.
consideration, yeah, in B, that B was basically partly responsible for this. Isn't
So
it?
one the meditator, as they
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
on the plantain, was
Yeah.
But it's only unless there were witnesses, no one will know what was actually said.
Exactly.
Because B is gone.
Exactly. Exactly. But does it really matter?
it doesn't really matter.
What's the effects of that in real life? And I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
what happens now is, right, B's
A
dead.
is guilty.
B's dead and A is gone too. It doesn't matter. It was helpful, and I just loved it when I turned on the radio that morning. This was about 6 years ago, and I heard the mother speaking. It was she was on the radio, and this happened in Australia, and it was just the most beautiful thing that I heard, like, you know, of someone coming out with full appreciation. They were very good friends, you know, these two. So the effect now is A is going to live the rest of his life in what?
Get killed.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at it now from in A Course in Miracles. Jesus talks about how cause and effect is basically reversed. Okay. Do you want to see how that works? All right. So here, B is the cause, and here A is the effect. Okay. So B actually said something. So let's look at it down here. All right, let's look at A. Let's look at the facts. These two guys are on level 1. So, the moment you're on level 1, what's happening automatically? As we just discussed, you're attached to a thought system. That thought system is the ego. Okay? So that means you're tuned in to the ego thought system here in your mind. Yeah? Everybody happy? So you're basically projecting these thoughts all the time. You're going out all the time. Yeah? You're trying to get rid of them. Could be you just want to stop thinking. Jean. Okay. So this person has made the decision they're going to stop thinking. But it doesn't matter whether you stop thinking or you're thinking. This is happening all the time. That's the point I was trying to make to you. But here, B is also the same. Okay? So both, I mean, everybody, when you were, Paul, talking about walking down the street, you know, and you were in your persona, okay, and you were having an experience, and then you come in here, and then you had a different experience. So when you were walking down the street, what were you doing in your persona? You were doing one of two things. You were seeking to get rid of things, or you were seeking to get things. And what it really comes down to is these thoughts all the time. We're seeking to get rid of thoughts all the time. So we're in this steady. If you could see energy, you would see these energy going out all the time. Okay? So, both these two people are out, and this has happened. This is a fact metaphysically. Yeah? So, here, B seems to be the cause, but under the rules of metaphysics, all right, A is sending these thoughts out, okay, and he's trying to attach them to somebody else or something else, because he doesn't want them. These thoughts are like poison. We're always trying to get rid of them, but no one knows they're doing this. So A is basically sending these thoughts out, hoping they're going to stick to something, all right? So, in the Course's terms, now A is the cause. Why? He's the victimizer. Why? Up here, he seems to be the victim. This seems to be the victimizer because he said something that wasn't very nice. So the cause is here and the effect is here.
Well, he hits him, so he's the cause of the physical force.
Why? Because he reacted.
Yeah, he was angry.
And there's a law here that states everything you react to, you have denied, suppressed, projected. It's a fact. It's as simple as that. So here, A basically is trying to get rid of these thoughts, and he was trying to land one and plant one here, and the thought could have been guilt. because the guy said something not right. And nearly everybody in the world is trying to get rid of guilt. Why? Because everybody in the world is attached to a mind that perceives separation. So they're automatically going to feel guilty. Okay? So that's how cause and effect is reversed. Okay? Everything you react to, you project.
The interesting A would be obviously said to bring up the anger in A. The anger in A had nothing to do with what B said. Even though B was taken out of the equation, A is still left with the anger.
Yeah.
Has
So,
gone nowhere.
yeah. So that's, Jesus says in the Course very clearly, there's no accidents. Those to make will make. So this has all been prearranged, predestined, right? Why? Because A and A script, okay, needs to become aware of one thing and one thing only. Guilt. And I want to do this to experience this immense guilt, especially when it's your friend. Especially when it was an accident. Doesn't matter what anybody says to this man now, for the rest of his life. He's going to be immersed in guilt. So that was in his script. Okay? He wanted to experience this, to face it, because there's no escape from it.
Can I just ask, in a different scenario, on the same scenario, but if A sort of didn't react, but held on to the hurt or
Yes.
wound, metaphysically what happens then?
Good question. All right. So here we go, right? So you deny, let's call this deny the reaction. There's another name for that called passive aggressive. Okay? So let's say now B, or A, who was trying to get rid of the guilt, yeah, projecting it out there, got his target, guy reacted, okay? But he says, no, I'm not going to react to this. Why would he do that after him sending it out to get rid of it? And people do this. The false image, the persona steps in and overrides the process. Okay? You can't basically let all my good work doing and building up this nice image of who you are to do something this stupid. Do you know? You're a good, godly, community, high up, thought of in society, and now you're going to throw it away now. No, you're not. So what happens then is the passive aggressive will come in to deny the reaction, and then comes a choice. And the choice is this: you can basically split or sublimate, like Sharon was saying. Okay? One takes you into the shadow. The other keeps you in the persona. And this is cause and effect. Yeah? So let's say, this could be your best friend, but it also could be your boss. And your boss takes you in Monday morning, he has a hangover, and he's taking it out on you. He's taking all this pain inside him. He's projecting and displacing it onto you. Why? Because he's your boss, he can. Simple, isn't it? There's no point in being the boss if you can't get rid of your shit onto people, And that's the way a lot of bosses think. Yeah? So, you come out of that office and you've used passive aggressive to keep your job. Now you come out of that office, you have a very clear job. You can displace it onto a less threatening person, which means that the people underneath you, maybe it's the kids, maybe it's the dog, maybe it's a door or whatever, but you'll displace it out onto that. And that action takes you into the shadow. Or you come out and you're feeling this anger and you think, I need to go for a good run to relieve the stress. I need a walk. I need a good stuff, brandy. All of these choices comes in. And these are the choices that you're making every day. Metaphysically, everybody is making these choices every day. So all the choices I have shown here already give you one thing very clear. There is no choice. You see, in this mindset, okay, in this here, like Eckhart Tolle talks about in that part of why there's no choice. But you have the illusion of a choice. That's it. So you look at the metaphysics of your relationships. You know, if you want to find the truth in your life, it really simply comes down to metaphysics. Because down here, alright, one of the, with the level 2 students I have, one of the things that they're finding great difficulty is unconditionality. You know, it doesn't exist down here. You know, what does that mean? People are hanging themselves out to dry, thinking. It's very frightening to be in a relationship where it's completely unconditional. Why?
Because there's no attachments. There can't be attachment to the person or their persona.
Yeah. You see, ultimately in this, why the struggle is there now is because if you look at this is why there's 16 chapters of the course in the text dedicated to the special relationship. Is to the persona, to the ego, to the persona. The special relationship is life. It's energy. Because it's in all our special relationships that we feed both the victim, the victimizer, the persona, the shadow. It's in the metaphysics that you give all the energy to. That's what it's all about for the ego. Ego doesn't care whether you're good or bad, right or wrong. Doesn't care if you're the saint of this world or you're the devil of this world. As long as one thing is consistent for the ego. What is it? Energy. And it's in your relationships that the ego sucks you dry. Until you get cancer to the day that you die. Because, you know, some people in this world, oh, that poor person has cancer, this poor person. Everybody's got cancer on level 1. It's only a matter of time. That cancer can appear in the body, it can appear in, you know, a relationship, it can appear in your job, it can appear in your financial world, it can appear anywhere. But look at all of this energy. It's all black, dark, designed to kill. And that's it. That's the metaphysics of all of this. So what I have started doing with a number of my students is basically the metaphysics now of their relationships. They're writing down all the stories and the dramas, and they can see very clearly now what the purpose of all of this is. You know, and that's why it's so difficult for them to start to do this part. It's really between night and day, these two energies. Because the persona cannot think this way. It's as simple as that. And for you to think this way, and if you can grasp this, you must be coming from your personality. Because your personality knows this energy. So let me show you another level.
Mike, I'm just asking, if that person A, is on level 2 when something is said, it'll just pass through, obviously. There's no reaction.
There's no attachment.
Yeah.
There's
So,
no
and it
attachment.
may not even, if he is on level 2, he may not be in the company of a big,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah, that's it.
So,
Do you know? So you know, when I said this many times, it's kind of the old, you know, and the ego has so many counter moves for it. It's be all things to all men. Do you know? Don't let any attachment to any thought or idea separate you from anybody else. If you do, that's evil. You know? And that's where everybody gets caught in this world, what's right and wrong, what's good and bad. It's the, you know, it's the oldest trick in the book. You know, it's that old that everybody's still getting caught on it. You know?
No,
So,
sorry, can we just come back to the level 1 and level 2, as you talked about,
yeah.
you know, sickness, cancer at level 1. But it can be a completely different experience when somebody is on level 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But seeing there, as you say, is completely different, but when you see it from level 2 to 3, unbelievable experience. And Megan knows what I'm talking about. My own husband passed in March, and my brother 3 weeks later. It's been the biggest learning curve of my life, in the sense that I had a choice to either stay in level 1 or stay where I was at level 3. And the sense was that the healing that I received from the experience that I went through, to be able to see from another level that there is no death, there is no cancer, there is actually nothing. Because that level has no meaning when you come to level 2 and 3. It doesn't exist. It only exists when you're actually in it.
You see, let me just show you a thing now of, everybody's got their stories. Everybody's got a drama. All right, so what is the story? No, the story is different from the drama. Byron Katie says, loving what is. And what is the story. So the story is, Cora, your script. You have chosen your relationships. Yeah? For right or wrong, for good or bad, for better or for worse. This is what you have chosen in this lifetime. Yeah? Now, the drama is all your projections onto that. All right? You're attached to the ego. All right? You come into this world with your script. Yeah? Okay? You don't know your script after you come into the world because of the veil of forgetfulness. Yeah? So you're in the world now, and all of a sudden you like things, you choose things, you experience things, and you think you're doing this for the first time. You think you have free will, you know. But deep down, there's part of you that's making these decisions because this is what your script calls for. So that's one part of it, yeah? We can all do that, okay? The other part comes in then is the drama. Because once we come into the world, we leave our personality automatically, and we go into the persona, and now we adapt the ego. So you have your story, you have your relationships all predestined, all right, and now the ego is basically going to take them apart. That's the drama. Yeah? So all of these thoughts on level 1, all the thoughts of sin, guilt, fear, neediness, expectations, demands, all of this belongs to the ego. And there, the ego is just steady, bombarding you with thoughts that you now take, you believe them, and you project them onto your story. What is? That's what Byron Katie says, loving what is. You can only love what is from level 2, level 3, because down in level 1, it's hell. All right? It's hell, not because of the people in your life. It's hell because of the thoughts in your mind is making the people in your life either making you good or bad or right or wrong. And that's what it's all about. So, here we have the story and the drama. So I want to show you a way now of getting to the metaphysics and how the metaphysics works in all stories and dramas. Yeah? So this primarily works on 4 stages. 2 of the stages you're involved in, 2 of the stages you're not involved in. Alright, so this is you here in the body. Okay? And again, like I was saying, we're always projecting, aren't we? So we're projecting thoughts. Okay? And we project ideas. those ideas then become stories, and then the story becomes a drama. This is metaphysics of your life. Okay? So, every story, every relationship you have, this is what creation or miscreation. This is how the ego is getting its 2 cents out of you. So, anybody want to give me a thought?
Would it, I was just thinking, would it be easier to start with the drama and work back? Or
I
do
mean,
start?
yeah, you know, give me a drama.
Well,
Well, let's work from this
Yeah.
perspective here, right? Because it's from this perspective that you need to train your mind of how this works. And once you know it comes this way, then you can start with the dramas in your life and work your way back.
yeah.
So let's say one of the biggest catches of all time for the ego is this thought. Love. Okay? But is it true love?
No.
But we don't know that. We think it is. We hope it is. We pray it is. You know? Because it's out there all around us in all these great films. Look at all the songs. It must be there. Everybody's fucking looking for it. You know? No, I know a few people can't get it. Most people
can.
can.
Jet pilot to US Navy, US Air Force.
You know, everybody can't be wrong. So it must exist. So the idea then, right, always is this. You're either seeking to get it or you're seeking to get rid of it. Fact. There is no other ideas. So let's say the thought is love and you're looking to get it. Now, what does that mean in the story? Fact. It means in the story, all right, that you're going to be a victim of what you seek for. And then the drama is always going to be about your thoughts about the story or the other person. Right, does that make sense? Why are you a victim? Not only will you experience being a victim, but to rub more salt into the wind, you're also going to experience lack in your relationship. Why is this?
Because you're attached to the
No, this is, yeah, you're attached to what?
to the thought of love.
Yes, and that's
Trying to seek, but probably not find.
yeah, but you see, you know, like Jesus has a great pains in the Course to tell you that the ego is complete. When you take any part of the ego. Now you look at the persona. Where's the special love? It's in the persona, yeah? That's the special love. Where's the special hate? In the shadow. So what else is in the persona? Where's the victim? In the persona. Where's lack? In the persona. There's no lack in the shadow. All the pain that you want in the world is in there waiting for you. So don't worry about that part. Okay? So you can see there's facts, there's rules, there's regulations to everything that you set out to do in this world. And this is where the ego makes all its energy, because people don't know this. They're so caught up in the special love that they fail to turn the coin around. What's on the other side of the coin? More specific. You can't have one without the other. So, what's the other side of this coin? Why this is the secret dream. Yeah?
Victim.
Victim? So how do you get rid of your thingy? And who's the victimizer? Most not. Who's the victimizer? The love person. You see, this is why 16 chapters in the Course, Jesus talks about the special relationship. That the special relationship, right, even though it sets out to be the special love, it's the home of guilt. It's the home of guilt because there's no special love without guilt being the undercurrent. The relationship is not about love. It's about getting rid of your guilt onto the victimizer. And if the story is good enough, if you've created a love story where this person really is an asshole, really, really has hurt you, then it will really work this for you for about that length of time, because hell follows this. Why was everybody caught out on this? Did you know that you were under the love, there's the guilt? Did you know you were trying to get rid of the guilt in this love relationship? Did you know that ultimately you're going to be a victim of this relationship? And the reason why you're a victim is because it was never nothing to do with love. It was always about the guilt. And the drama now covers up the story. You see, this is why in the Course, the metaphysics will point to the truth. Always. Learn to read the metaphysics. And anybody who comes to with any story to you, you can see the truth in it immediately. Because here's the effects of this. The victim then will do this. Will go to their friends, their family, and now will seek for witnesses. And those who are stupid enough to side with the victim, to have sympathy for the victim, or for even the victim in this, to project all of this onto the family and friends, everybody's going to suffer hell. You can't side with the victim because everything the victim's feeling, when you attach yourself to the victim, you pick up all the energy that they are creating. And that's what they want to do. They basically want to get rid of this energy now by telling all their friends. And the more friends who believe them, the better, because it makes them feel better. It doesn't make them feel better because these people believe me. It makes them feel better because their friends are going, you're giving more shit. You know, more. And then that person walks out feeling terrible. And they kind of think, oh, my heart goes out to this person. They've just basically injected themselves with poison. You know, this is the truth. And it's going on all the time. There's never nothing happening. When people are coming to you with this, they're not coming as friendship. They're coming to dump on you, to get rid of this. And the more witnesses, the better. That person feels stronger now. Why do they feel stronger? Because they've displaced all of this victim as, I'm a victim, this energy, into all of the people now who will willingly accept it. Does this make sense? Do you know? This is the truth of life and what we're experiencing. You don't have to do it this way. There is another way. But the thought of guilt in here, doesn't matter, it's in there anyway. Why is the thought of guilt always there? Because this is coming from the mind of separation. Here is the thought of separation, the ego, you name it, because this process here belongs to the ego, and the ideas belong to the ego. You're not aware of any of this process. So, any questions on that? You happy with that, Paul? You do this every day?
Yeah.
Did you know you do it every day?
See, there's one thing, understanding what you're saying. It's putting it into practice is a different ballgame. It's as everyone knows, you know, it's a different ball game when you're in the middle of a tornado. It's not easy to find your way out.
That's it.
So no matter how highly how much I would have that as an understanding, and it's like when suddenly the door slammed in your face or whatever. It's not, I don't mean that literally, I'm just having it.
Yeah.
It's a different situation,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
So, just going back to it, to get out of the tornado, to stop that, you just take, it's the whole thing about being aware and taking responsibility and bringing it inside yourself and not seeing it.
You see, you can do this as individual experiences, okay? Or you can do this in a collective experience. Meaning if you fully understand now all stories that come to you, you're beginning to see the truth. Okay? You know, the way you could practice this the most is look at any of the soaps, you know, look at any of the films. You'll see the story, you'll see the drama, you'll see the ideas there. Like practice, practice, practice. Because this is happening everywhere around you, and when you can start to see this metaphysically, it means you're starting to wake up. You see, it's the story that distracts everybody. It's the drama. Everybody gets caught up in the story and the drama. You know, when people come to me, when I'm doing the classes and psychotherapy, people, they come to me with the story and the drama. I'm not interested. I just want to see the metaphysics and show this person then how they're hurting themselves with their stories and dramas. And if they don't let the story go, then there's nothing I can do about it. So they don't want to let the story go. So it's not about you just kind of doing your own little bit when it suits you, or when you can remember to do this. It's about you actively going today, because, you know, that there is an algorithm. Do you know what an algorithm means? It means that there fits into any story in this world. You know, the whole thing about forgiveness is not about the story, it's not about the drama, it's not even about the idea, it's about getting to the thought. It's only the thought that you need to find, because it's the thought that you're attached to, and it's the thought that you're denying. So everything's just about the source of the thought. Never about the story. If you try to fix the story, as Sharon was saying, you create more drama. And do you really want a better story in hell? When you recognize that you're in level 1, you're in hell, do you really want a better story now? Do you know?
They're the blocks.
The whole point of this is, like I said earlier on, any day, any moment, you can check in where you are. Just listen to your mind. And you don't need to go into a song and dance about why you're on level 1 or why you're in that mind. It's there because it's helping people to wake up. You know, look how much fear people have of coming into level 2 even. So a lot of people in this world are not nowhere near ready to wake up yet. You know, and that's what the truth represents. Do you know? So this here is for people who are ready for it. You know, your family and friends over Christmas or over the holidays or over anything, you go there and you'll just listen to the stories and the drama. But do it with this. Now you're not judging. Now you're using good judgment because you're trying to get to the metaphysics. And one of the things that I was doing with my students also is I'm getting them to observe other people on their way to work, restaurants and everything, see what people react to. Somebody reacts to something, try and work out what that person has just projected. You know, look at the drama that's going on all around it. You know, it's happening. This is the miracle of life that Einstein talked about, that Eckhart Tolle talks about. You know, there was a film one time, Peaceful Warrior, I think it was. You know, Nick Nolte was in it. And in the film, I don't know who that was about, but in it, he says, oh, I love this, he says, there's never nothing happening. Something happening, and it catches the young fellow right in a park, and all of a sudden time basically alters, and it can, whatever was going on. But to me, I see the metaphysics all the time, and it's amazing to watch the metaphysics of life. You know, so if you can, you know, I'll get a proper diagram for this. I have
Can I
one.
ask you, Michael, when you know, see all of that, you start to see it, and you start to be able to pinpoint the thought from which it's all coming from. Is that why it says there's no order and difficulty in miracles? Because you can just let the thought go.
You see,
You can just
Sharon,
detach from it. And
yeah, but you know the way this is going to be done. Let me kind of. I've got a diagram for it. I don't think I have. Right. You see, when I woke up, it was a complete dissolution. The false self kind of dissolved completely. Alright? Immersed in that pain body, through the body, the portal was opened, and so on, right? So that's the way that worked. Alright? It was kind of an unconscious mechanism. Yeah? So what this is about now, it's about a conscious step-by-step process of waking up. Wouldn't that be true? Right? So let's say in the Course, it's not about now where you have to let everything go. Alright? What Sharon touched on is reinterpretation. Okay? So let's say, okay, that you have the thought now, and you're conscious of it, that you want love. Yeah? And there's nothing wrong with people seeking for love. That's what I want to make clear here. But why don't you do this consciously now, and you can do it on level 2. This is the difference between the Course waking up in a structure than when Eckhart Tolle and I and others woke up in a vibrational. Yeah? In the vibrational, it's completely letting go of everything, all attachments. With the Course, it's the reinterpretation of your attachments. So how do you reinterpret the thought of love? We all have relationships. Yeah? Do you want to throw them all away? No. You don't have to. And that's great news. But that's what people were basically doing for the last 2,000 years to wake up, seeking enlightenment. They were following the instructions, had to have a life of complete non-attachment, did all of that, and still couldn't wake up. Yeah? So what this is about is a reinterpretation at the source now is you can have the thought of love. So how could you bring that to level 2, Cor?
You could see that the love is coming from inside instead of from outside.
Right, but practically.
In a relationship.
Yeah. Because this has to be practical.
So that anything I react to in the other is actually something that I've projected, and therefore I need to forgive myself.
No, you take complete responsibility for it.
Yeah, so that I'm responsible for it, so therefore it's within my power, if you like, to forgive it within myself.
Well, once you've taken complete responsibility for it, where are you?
Level 2.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
don't I need to bring that,
No.
I could hold on to guilty, see, this is
No,
what I do,
no,
I take
no,
responsibility,
no,
but I hold
No,
guilt.
no. Once you take complete responsibility, without you even understanding why you're doing it, you're automatically on level 2. So let's see how we can turn the thought of love down here into the thought of love up here. Alright? So again, there's rules and regulations, there's facts to love. Okay? So up here, love is unconditional, which means now if I'm in a relationship with someone, I withdraw all my demands, expectations, needs, and desires. That's the first thing I do. Next thing I do, I take responsibility in the relationship, which means I'm responsible for how I feel, what I perceive, and everything I react. I also could include acceptance. I'm going to accept if there's a problem in the relationship, then it's not external. All of these ideas seem very weird and strange, don't they? Don't they?
How does that come in if someone gets ill?
Yes,
is
if someone
something
gets
ill
ill
within me?
and you feel that emotion inside you. You see, there's a line in the Course that says there's nothing external that can affect you in any way. Lesson 189. You know, that the world can't make you sick. It can't affect you in any way. It goes on and gives a list of things where it can't do. And that's what this acceptance means. That if you're in a relationship and there's a problem in that relationship with the other person, okay, there are no problems. There's only situations. It is then only your thoughts about the situation that creates the problem.
Can I answer that one for you? It's very close. It's very close to home, and I totally understand what you're talking about. A as I said, my husband died in March. We were 43 years married Thursday. And when he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and secondaries, and I stood back and I allowed him to make all the decisions that he chose to make around his illness. The choices that he made were not choices I liked, they were not choices I would have wanted him to make. Because my love was unconditional, I allowed him to make the choices. I allowed him to travel the journey, I walked with him on the journey, I supported him on the journey. And to me, that was the greatest love ever, because I had no conditions on it, I had no demands on it. I understood what was happening. And with the journey that we had ordained long ago, I was well aware of that. Even if he didn't, because he wouldn't have done what I done, but he didn't need to do what I done. And the freedom in that was where I found peace. And the peace I found emanated onto him and the rest of my family. Because there was a stage that my daughter was up and when she got home, she rang me and she said to me, Mum, she said, I really want to thank you. I said, for what? She said, I go to the house and I forget Dad's will. Everything is the same. I said, why would it be any different? That's what life is talking about. And you can only reach that place when you come to let go of your demands and your commands and needs that you perceive somebody else has to meet for you.
You see, the way relationships, and we all have relationships, and there's everybody in our life offers us a choice. Okay? And that choice can be to stay in hell or transcend it. So let's say that you're in a relationship, maybe this person is doing drugs or they're in addiction, or there's countless ones out there. Many, many reasons, like, you know. So your choice in that relationship now, or grief, okay, your choice in that relationship now can be to join in it or transcend it. That's the only choices. The relationship can take you to hell, or the relationship can take you to heaven. Because everything in the relationship, if you look at the relationship right from discernment, you only look at what's true or what's false in your relationship, you're automatically on level 2. Because the ego can't do that. That thought or idea doesn't exist here. And if you're consistently just transcending right and wrong and good and bad in your relationships and only looking at what's true and false, you're on level 2. That's how easy this is. You know, it's really easy. I mean, just to practice this, but like I say, if you're so, you know, if you don't know your persona yet, then you have more work to do on level 1. It's as simple as that. You need to, you know, people ask me about who's my personality, and I said, if you don't know, I really don't know. You know, in my book, I cover 10 personalities. So if I was to say, who's your true personality, it's all 10. You know, your personality is all 10. If you're ready to wake up, then you are all 10 of those personalities. You're both an introvert and an extrovert. You know, you're both open and closed. And the reason why I say you're all 10 is because there's none you can reject if you're ready to wake up. You know, if you're rejecting one of those personalities for whatever reason, even as an idea or a concept, then that's keeping you on level 1. So remember, one of the characteristics of the advanced teacher of God, which is level 3, that's an effect. That open-mindedness comes from what? Discernment. So if you truly want to be open-minded about everything, get out of looking right and wrong, good and bad. start looking at what's true and false, and the metaphysics will show you what's true and false. Because when you're here, you're so small. Why? Because you're feeding this. The ego only wants your energy, wants your obedience, because it wants your energy. That's all it comes down to. But you don't need to be in this world to use your persona. You could be in this world in your personality, and I guarantee you, this is the most beautiful personas in the world. I mean, you look at Byron Katie, you look at people like this, you know, they're not trying to be anybody, they're not. They're just naturally, you're naturally loved. But down here, you have to cultivate an image, you have to try bloody hard to be nice, you know. It's a pain in the arse, because you'd rather tell people to fuck off, you know. But there's such pleasure in telling someone to fuck off. There really is. When you have absolutely no attachment to any guilt about it. You know, it's like caviar. You know. So it's only the guilt about being honest in the world that really makes us kind of slaves to the ego and everything, because we're so caught up in right and wrong, good and bad. You know? And it's really all about transcending the levels. Because any day, at any time, I recognize what level I'm on, I can correct it in an instant. And that's life. You know, I don't have to go into a story about what, you know, I did to God, or what God did to me, or what the ego did to me, and what the ego did to God, or it was the ego's fault, it wasn't really me, I didn't know what I was doing, and all of this. No, I just recognize ego, ego. And that's it. And that's what this is all about. And then, you know, well, I'm going to be doing more and more videos now on metaphysics. I'm going to be doing the forgiveness on metaphysics, and I'm going to be doing projection on metaphysics, which I kind of touched on. So it's really, we're moving into the era of metaphysics, because for the next 50 years, everybody doing the course is going to be moving to level 2 into metaphysics. You know, and they're going to be you see, you can't, you know, you look at the course itself, everybody's on level 1. They're looking at the course right and wrong, good and bad. You know, the majority of the world are looking at the course at the moment and they see it wrong. Why? Because the majority of the course are attached to religion. It's not that the course is wrong, but this is what religion says. We're all guilty little bastards. All right? And the course is taking that away from us. You know, and I remember a phone call. I mean, a woman rang me up, and she loved the idea of being innocent, but no. She was a Catholic, and she was guilty. And she argued for 40 minutes to me how guilty she was. And I actually got around to her to believe in, you know, what, you may be right. And then the next thing she started about the Muslims. So the moment, right, I projected innocent onto her, right, because she was consuming her own guilt. All right, she wanted to believe that she was guilty, she was in the bad room. And this is what happened to the course over the last 50 years, right? Jesus took everybody out of the bad room with the guilt and put them into the good room. All right, says you're not guilty, you're innocent. And what does everybody do now when they're in the good room? Yeah? They're putting everybody else into the bad room. And that's what this woman done, right? I took her out of the bad room in my mind, I had her in the good room, and the next thing she started in the Muslims. And fuckers. And she left the good room and went back into the bad room again, like, you know. And what she was really telling me metaphysically was, she's so attached to the bad room that she's going to create stories that's going to keep her in the bad room. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, someone could come to you and will come with you in a story, and you'll probably fall for it, and you'll do your best to take them into the good room. But before that person leaves again, you know, they're going to put themselves in the bad room again. Just watch to see. And if you realize that, you know, metaphysically, this is what this person needs to experience, this is what they're choosing, it's not right or wrong or good or bad. That's the key in this, is to perceive your relationships above right and wrong, good and bad. Because once you get caught into right and wrong, good and bad, you're fucked. You know, all you're doing now is more drama, more drama, more drama, more drama. So that's what our relationships offer us. They offer us the chance to transcend that mind completely. And it's the only thing that our relationships are. The person could be really, really sick. You know, the person could be in hell. Do you know? And, you know, the way this world is, we have all relatives who are really very sick, because the longer you stay in this body, the sicker you become. That's a fact. So we can become attached to people in them relationships, and really we're just feeding ego. You know, we're not doing that person. Like Ken Wapnick used to say, you're just sticking the knife in deeper, because your sympathy, your choice to choose to side with the victim, whether it be a victim of sickness, whether it be a victim of cancer, whether it be a victim of the body in any shape or form. If you're doing A Course in Miracles, transcend it. That's what the purpose of this relationship is for. It's like what Margaret was saying with your relationships. It gives you the opportunity to transcend that. Because if we don't have these opportunities to transcend our relationships, how are we going to do it? Do you know, no one goes home alone. You don't need good relationships, do you know what I mean, to get to heaven. In fact, you know, take all relationships and transcend each one of them. Because once you look at the metaphysics of your relationships, you'll see the truth of them. You know, people are here, and they're not here because they're bad, or because they're good, or because people are here to wake up. And we're all waking up for the first time.
The greatest gift within that for me was to allow him the choice to go home.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You know, and that was absolutely a great learning curve for me.
So, I'm going to finish up with that now. Is there anybody any questions or?
Is that in your book, the charts?
Yes, these will all be, not in my book I have now.
Mm.
No, these charts are not, but they are diagrams and everything. I'm updating as I go along here.
Okay.
You know, so my new book will be basically all of this stuff will be in that.
Brilliant.
You know. So, just quick, let me finish up with this. You all know false forgiveness.
Mm.
Yeah? Alright, let me just quickly explain the metaphysics of false forgiveness. You see, in the 4 stories, 4 examples that I use, you know, these stories can change. So then people kind of get, you know, caught up in the story and maybe, you know, there's a different way to do this. So let's look at the 4 false forgivenesses metaphysically. First one is where you see the guilt in another person and you forgive that person because you're a good person. Alright? So A is innocent and B is guilty. So metaphysically, what's the problem there?
You're not seeing the source of
Well, you're seeing the person different to you. So you're seeing separation.
Separation.
Okay? And that's what the ego wants. Because the moment you see anybody separate, you separate yourself from source. Okay? And that's why this mind sees only separation. Okay? The second false forgiveness is where you join with the person now. Alright? You join with them in guilt and you say, I'm just as bad as you. So what's the problem there in metaphysics?
Condemnation. It's
Huh?
a condemnation.
No, you're joining with the ego. Because guilt belongs to the ego. Fear belongs to the ego. Victimizer. When you join with the ego in any of these thoughts, then you join in separation. That's what the ego wants. That's how simple it is.
Mm.
So the ego doesn't want you joining in true love, unconditionality. Doesn't want you taking responsibility. Doesn't want you to discern. Doesn't want you to accept. So these ideas don't belong to the ego. These all belong to the workbook. Okay? These ideas belong to the ego. And the ego does everything it can to keep these ideas out. And if you dare have them in, within 5 minutes, Ken Wapnick used to say, the ego, the brain sends a message. The ego sends a message to the brain to have amnesia and wipe those. It doesn't need to do that. Because these ideas belong here and you're here. So these ideas go back to the source, you stay here. Yeah? So metaphysically, in all the false forgivenesses, it reinforces the ego, reinforces separation. In the third one, where you use the passive aggressive, where you're basically now acting all nice and godly, where you're too good of a person to make a show in public when someone irritates you. What you're doing is metaphysically, you're protecting the persona, you're protecting the false image. Okay? You're basically protecting the ego. You're choosing the ego. And everything else is an effect of that. And then the last one then is where I'll forgive you if you don't do it again. Or I'll forgive you if you do this for me. You're enslaving the other person. You're saying, first of all, this person has done something wrong. And Jesus says you can't look on sin without making it real for both. So that means if I see the sin in you and I try to take advantage of it, I'm calling them separately. All of these keep you on level 1. But look at the metaphysics of advanced true forgiveness. Do you know it, Cora? Metaphysics. You have responsibility. Don't you? That's what true forgiveness is. What I see in you belongs to me. Now I'm not seeing you different. I'm actually joining with you beyond the body in truth, because I'm saying any differences between us is my problem. That's what advanced true forgiveness is. You look at complete forgiveness up here, right? What is complete forgiveness? You have an emotion, all right? Okay, the body's neutral. So here you are, you could be, this is the wire going over the Grand Canyon, all right? Okay, and here you're walking through life. And every time you have an emotion, you can choose the ego and rationalize it, or you can take it to the truth, level 2. So again, you're making choices here. You're not choosing between the victim, victimizer, or the persona in the shadow anymore. Now you're making a real choice. You're choosing between level 1 and level 2, the ego and truth. You know? So all you have to do is look deep within all these ideas up here, the new tools. The tools of empowerment. You look at self-empowerment. First step in self-empowerment, you question who's angry, who's irritated, who's annoyed, who's lonely, who's in lack. Do you know, the moment you do that, you separate yourself from here, because of Ken Watnick always says, all right, if you're looking at the ego, you can't be the ego. So if you're questioning the ego, you're saying who's angry. In that moment, you cannot be the ego, you must be on level 2. And then you go through the steps of self-empowerment. They're detachment, discernment, forgiveness, and then action. So up here, right, when you do the work, you're still left, I have action to take, or maybe my action is I have nothing to say. But down here, when you're a victim, or a victimizer, or whatever, you're snookered into a box. You're saying, okay, I have to take responsibility for this. It's my fault. Where the hell do you go after that? You're in a one-way street, you're down a blind alley, you're up against a brick wall, and now you just have to take responsibility. Where the fuck do you go after that? There's nowhere to go. You're left hanging and dry. Now it's all this self-guilt, this self-blame and everything. And that's where the ego wants to take you down here. That's the cost of responsibility here. The cost of responsibility up here is complete freedom. Complete mindset, different change, different experience, different world. Here, you're in the world, but not of the world. Here, you're a slave to the ego. No choices. So the only choice in life is this, is to wake up and choose level 1 or level 2. You don't need to be any more specific in that. Look to the source of your thoughts. Detach from them. Take responsibility, acceptance, and work your way through these thoughts and ideas and what do these mean. And when you're working with these thoughts and ideas, you can't be here. Do you know? This is the real doing the course here. But you have to be at a place that you're ready to get to here first, because what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of conflict up and down, because if you're attached to a lot of thoughts here and you go up here, then you're going to be in a big state of denial to stay here, because these thoughts will want to return and you'll not want to return. And then when you do return, it'll be with a bang. All right? So again, it's do the work on level 1, prepare yourself for level 2. And when you feel strong enough, you'll feel this inner strength of knowing who you are. That's the time to start working on this. Because self-honesty, right, is about completely dropping the persona. There's no self-honesty when you are carrying a persona. Okay? Self-awareness, like Sharon was talking about, is again knowing the two thought system. Knowing the separated self, knowing the persona, knowing the shadow. And knowing that you don't know your personality because you've lost it in childhood. Because we've all adapted different personas and different masks. Self-responsibility is now I must arm myself with new tools. Because here, all the tools I have keep me here. And when I get to here, I'm going to need new tools that's going to keep me here. Simple as that. So that's the responsibility. It's also self-responsibility to know everything about level 1.
So only then you can actually come to the premise of what's valuable and what's
Exactly.
not. You won't know the difference unless you really search.
When you get down to this, your simple choice at the end of the day then comes between these two. This is the sources. When you can get back to source, when you have enough work done, and you can say, right, at any time, where's my source? Where's my thoughts? That's how simple this is. Okay, if there's no questions on that, we'll finish up today. Thank you, folks.